Do you recognize any of these large-scale accidents or engineering failures? There are usually multiple points of failure for large accidents. This is not the case for smaller accidents, especially when students are building prototypes of novel devices. In this video, I will talk about accidents, a culture of safety, and then give some advice for safe working practices. So in the context of engineering design at a university, most accidents are small and usually are the result of hand tools. However, significant accidents can occur, including the loss of life, during the engineering design process. So we can think of three scales of accidents: small, medium, and large. In a small-scale accident, you might have a cut or a burn that just requires using a first aid kit. In a medium-scale accident, you might have a more significant cut or burn. You might need to call the EMS number at your campus, and you might need some stitches. For a large-scale accident, there might be a very significant cut or burn, or you might injure a bone, like breaking it. In a large-scale accident, you almost always will need to go to the hospital. So when are these accidents most likely to occur? When you're trying something new for the first time, when you're using a tool incorrectly, when you're tired, oftentimes after midnight, when you're going too fast, when you're trying to take a shortcut, when you're breaking the rules, or when you become complacent from doing the same thing over and over again. One of the best ways to counter risks of accidents is to work in a community with a strong safety culture. So I'm going to discuss 4 aspects of a safety culture: the idea of safety first, intervention, reflection, and proper PPE, or personal protective equipment. The first aspect of a strong safety culture is safety first. Your goal every day, every time you use a tool, is to go home unhurt. For this to happen, you need to take time to consider safety. So take 30 seconds before any action you take and review the situation. Don't rush. Consider your safety and the safety of those around you. So the second aspect of a strong safety culture is intervention. Intervention is when you speak up to question or stop a person before or during an activity. So let's talk a little bit more about the words in this definition of intervention. Speak up. When you speak up, you use your voice. You don't wonder something in your head. Question. You need to ask a question. Don't accuse you're doing this wrong, but rather say, I wonder, have you thought about this? Stop. Sometimes you just need to yell, stop. A person. A person could be a peer. It could be someone junior to you, or it could be someone senior, like your instructor or a technician. Before. This is when you're setting up, and you may be anticipating a safety concern. During. This is once the action has started. And finally, activity. Activity can be any action, such as using a ladder, clamping a pipe, using a tool, or setting down a hot glue gun. You should always intervene if you have a question or a concern about safety. There's really no harm in asking the question, and oftentimes if you have the question, the concern is real. Remember, if you fail to intervene, there possibly could be an accident and real harm could occur. Wouldn't you want someone to stop you if you were about to have an accident? In order to develop this culture of intervention, you need to develop the aptitude of observation. You need to be able to see yourself as you're working with tools, and you need to be able to observe others as they work with tools. The third practice of a safety culture is that of reflection. So whenever you have an accident, you need to reflect. So you might ask the question, how did this accident happen? Were you cutting into yourself? Was the material not secured properly? Did your hand slip when you were using a tool? So you need to have this conversation in a way to prevent this accident from happening again, because you definitely don't want to have the same accident twice. You need to brainstorm possible ways to avoid this accident. Talk with your peers, talk with your instructors. It's important that the whole community learn from this accident. A near miss is when you almost have an accident, but you don't. Near misses often occur when you're driving. For example, a car might veer into your lane, but you hit the brakes to avoid the accident. Take a minute now and think about some near misses that you've had in the last few months. Pause the video now and jot down 2 or 3 near misses. Near misses provide a fantastic opportunity for learning because they happen much more frequently than accidents. Thoughtful reflection about near misses can prevent some accidents from happening. The fourth aspect of a strong safety culture is always wearing the proper personal protective equipment, or PPEs. This means you should wear gloves when handling certain materials. Wear safety glasses whenever you're using any hand tools, handling liquids, or working with electronics. Wear closed-toed shoes and preferably long pants. Always tie your hair back. Remove any loose jewelry and ties. We're going to conclude this video by offering 4 pieces of advice. First, you should always work with a partner. Never, ever work alone. When I say work with a partner, that partner needs to be near you when you're doing work, not in a different room or on his or her phone. Second, never work when you're tired or distracted. Now, as a student, you may think, well, I'm always tired or distracted. But work at your best times, not at your worst. Third, ask questions. If you're not 100% sure about a practice or a procedure, stop. Ask a question and then proceed when you understand what you're doing. And fourth, wear proper protective equipment. PPEs are your first line of defense. So in conclusion, we've talked about 3 things in this video. We overviewed accidents. We talked about the practices that people exhibit in a culture of safety. And finally, we concluded the video by offering a few tips for good safety practice.